Good morning, S.H.R.E.D Nation. Welcome to the show. Welcome back, babies. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is episode 132 of the School of S.H.R.E.D. This is the show that's designed to help you shred your old and make better your new. Welcome, everybody. Welcome aboard the Dream Machine, where we get fit and we change our habits that are no longer serving us. As I change my camera angles here. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, YouTube. Good morning in your car, in your headphones, wherever you're at in the world. Thank you for tuning in to this episode. We're going to make this one a good one. Today we're going to talk about setting goals. How does it take for you to reach goal? This is a hot topic that I get a lot in the first session that I have with somebody. A lot of people want to know how long is it going to take to hit my goal. And so I wanted to do an episode where we kind of talked about that today and give you some realistic expectations for you to get into your fitness program. Because, you know, depending on what your goal is, depending on what it is. So today we're going to talk a lot about weight loss because that's a hot topic. I think that's where I like to set my sights. Or that's where I want to set my sights with this episode, because I see the country that I live in, the United States of America here. So, muscle tissue is obviously super important. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about will gain muscle. I'm a huge fan of muscle, but I think the reality is that most of us need to eat better and live more active lifestyles and cut the negativity that might lead to that type of a lifestyle that leads to obesity and overeating and stress and all that stuff. So that's kind of where I'm going to guide this one. But by all means, I've said before, gaining muscle and losing fat are not the only goals. Those typically just end up being the ones that are talked about the most. It's the one that people resonate with the most. I have many clients who just want to be out of pain so they can garden. Something as simple as that, quality of life. And then I also have people who just want more energy. You know, they don't want to feel burnt out and fatigued all the time. So if your goal is not necessarily to burn body fat or lose weight, that's fine. I think you're going to get a lot out of this one as well. But because we're going to talk about some things that will relate, I feel, to all goals, which is overall health and fitness, which is what this show is about, which is holistic health and fitness. So I just finished a workout. So I have myself a little post-workout drink here. Today, if you see the comments, all of you guys that are tuning in live on Facebook and YouTube, I'm giving away a workout. So take a little screenshot of that. I just decided to kind of give you guys what I just did, which is basically just a ridiculous amount of reps here. So I used kettlebells this morning, but for anybody listening to this, you can maybe replay this. I'm going to read this out to you right now. Let me go up here. I'm going to pull it up on the screen so people can see it on YouTube. So there's a free workout. So what you do is the first workout or the first exercise of the day is going to be squats. So you're going to do 100 squats, 100 bent rows. Okay. We're going to do 100 push-ups, then move on to 100 lateral raises, 75 bicep curls, and 75 tricep skull crushers. Okay. People that might have dumbbells at home. If you don't have any tools, right? So I did the squats with a 52-pound kettlebell. I did the rows kettlebells. If you don't have access to that, what you'll do is just air squats. So 100 air squats before moving on to the second exercise, which would be 100 jumping jacks, then 100 push-ups. Okay, and then number 4 would be lateral raises. But if you don't have weights, you can sub that out for 100 body weight crunches. Okay, you get all of your 100 done, and you move on to number 5. If you don't have weights for bicep curls, you can do mountain climbers. And then finally, to finish the day, if you don't have weights for tricep skull crushers, you can do jumping jacks, 75 of those guys again. So you have both weight option here and with equipment with weights option. Then you also have a body option if you do this workout here. So the way that this workout is done, a lot of what I do at home is I'll write down a real high number of reps, like 100, and it is to be done before you move on to the next exercise. So as opposed to 5 sets of 20, and then, you could do like a circuit, do that sometimes, but to mix it up, sometimes it's like, look, you got to get all your squats done before you move on. So that's what this workout is. So again, 100 squats, 100 back rows, 100 push-ups, 100 lateral raises for the shoulders, 75 bicep curls, and 75 tricep skull crushers. Do this if you dare at your own risk, but hey, it's a free workout. So anyway, show us here Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and we're also on Spotify and iTunes. So let's go ahead and get into it. So a common question I get when a client comes and sits down is they want to know, how long it's going to take me to reach my goal. And this is a really loaded question because it depends on what the goal is and what their execution of the program will be, right? And what I mean by that, if I give somebody a nutrition plan and a workout program, and I tell them this is our lost client, we're going to use that as our example today. Okay, somebody wants to lose weight. They have to do everything that I'm telling them to do, and they're not guaranteed to lose weight. When I give somebody a plan, what I'm doing is if they have adherence to the plan, I assume, and I don't assume a lot. I've been taught not to assume, but what I do assume is that there's going to be a time where I need to revise this program, okay, because of some of the stuff we're going to talk about today. It's not just a perfect downward trend like we like to think. And a lot of personal training certifications I've done, they like to give you these cool little equations and show you about, the calories in, calories out, the law of thermodynamics and all this good stuff, which is great. But what makes up that law of thermodynamics is extremely complex. And we're gonna crack that open today because if you want to lose weight, it does come into calories in, calories out. But sometimes eating more calories has you expend more calories. So not always exercise more and eat less. This is why I talk about optimizing hormones, because hormones are the regulators of metabolic rate. Okay, and so it's a much broader scope that we have to look at when we're talking about getting to our goal or losing fat than just simply you got to quit eating. And that does work, and it works well for, I would say, most people. But a lot of the people that I train, they come to me because it's not that easy, and I've had to get really good in that uncertainty realm with my clients, which I like. One of my mentors said, "You don't know how good of a trainer you are until you have somebody who can't do anything." And I think, he was talking about mechanics as far as human movement, but I think that also goes to, metabolic issues as well, which is like if somebody has, adrenal fatigue or you don't know how good you are until you can slowly nudge them back to full health. So with that said, how long will it take you to reach your goal? There's some things that we want to look at. So loosely what I'll tell somebody, depending on the information I've collected, is, we can lose up to 1% of our body weight per week, have that be a good target. That could be a target. It's not always the case. 1 pound to 1% of your total body weight per week. So if I'm a 200 person, that's 1 pound minimum per week, okay, to 2 pounds maximum. And it's not really maximum because sometimes we start a program and we start eating an anti-inflammatory diet, we flush a lot of inflammation, systemic inflammation. And people say it's water weight, but yeah, you got to get rid of that water weight to get to the fat. You have to get rid of the water weight to get better blood pressure numbers. You have to get rid of the water weight to reduce stress on the system. So it's good to get rid of the water weight. You start doing salads and good meat and fruits and whatnot, you're eating whole nutritious foods, and you notice that maybe you lose 5 to 7 pounds the first week. That's not bad. That's not necessarily bad at all. If your energy levels is good, which it probably will be. You're drinking enough water. That can happen. I need to alarm that until I started using the power of critical thinking and not just going out of the certification I was taking. A lot of these personal training certifications are amazing. They're great. I love them. I continue to do them. But what I also realize is that they have to err on the side of caution at every stop. So they're not going to tell somebody, because if they're educating thousands of trainers a year, they don't know everybody's process is. So they have to give you the most cautious safety precautions. And this is the thing. This is why personal training is truly art. It is a form of art. It is like a chef. And this is what one of my mentors says as well, which is, if you have like grandma has a recipe, right? That, you know, you can try and measure, but she didn't measure. And so when grandma dies, the recipe is gone forever. Okay. So that's what a good chef is. That's what a good exercise professional is as well. Is not just somebody who dispenses you a soup can. Okay. Tom Purvis made this amazing analogy in one of my training videos that I have from him. Is what happens is a lot of us will start to just dispense soup, right? It's pre-packed. We don't know the ingredients. Here's a can of soup for this problem. Here's a can of soup for this problem. A real professional, the art comes when you start to make the soup. When you take in all the ingredients, maybe it's all this different certified bodies and all this information, and then you start to formulate your own soup from scratch, okay? And become a chef where you're making things from scratch. You're designing exercise from scratch. You're designing nutrition plans from scratch. You're designing overall health programs from scratch. You're not using just one system, which would be dispensing soup. If I only used one of the certifications that I have, I would be dispensing soup. I wouldn't be creating. This is where it becomes very creative as a health coach, which is where I thrive personally. I love to be creative. So with that said, you have all of the certifying bodies that will say 1% of your body weight per week, you don't want to go anymore. The power of critical thinking would dictate that, hey, look, I know inflammation is a huge issue. If somebody's 30 or 40 pounds overweight, why would it be bad for them to lose 5 to 7 pounds of water weight? That's just a loose estimate, but I'm just saying I've had before, or even 10 pounds of water weight a week when I know that could reduce stress on their system. It could reduce inflammation. It could reduce blood pressure, and we could get this person to be healthier quicker than you going, no, you shouldn't be losing that much weight. You actually more. And basically what I think I would be doing at that point is causing inflammation, just trying to slow the reducing of inflammation, which doesn't make sense to me, right? I want my client to not be inflamed. However, get that to happen, that's what I want. But as soon as we get right on the other side of that water weight, we have to look at this goal of 1% of your total body weight per week. So again, if you're 200 pounds, we could write out a plan that is you lose about 2 pounds per week. Okay. And obviously that's going to change as you get down to or 180 pounds or 190 pounds would be 1.9. But for the sake of argument, what we'll do is we'll say a 200-pound person, all right, loses an average of 0.5 pounds per week. And they want to lose 20 pounds. It would take that 200-pound individual, take them 13 weeks to lose 20 pounds if they were losing 1.5 pounds per week on average. Okay, if you were a 150-pound person, and asking how long is it going to take for me to get to my goal? I would say if you want 10 pounds and you're a 150-pound person, let's just do the math. We're going to do 10 divided by 1.4, which is how many pounds I'd want you to lose on average per week, right? Maximum 1.4 pounds. I'm not going to do 1.5 because the minute you drop down to 149, then it starts changing. So we would say 1.4 pounds per week. Okay, you do 10 divided by 1.4. That's going to be 7 weeks of this deficit we want to create to get you to lose 10 pounds if you're 150. At the end of the 10 weeks, you would be 140 pounds. Okay, so that'd be 7 weeks. I'm sorry, so you lose 10 pounds. And so that's what you do is you take your body weight, you take the amount of body weight that you want to lose, okay, and divide it by your 1% of your total body weight. Take the amount of weight you want to lose, it's 20 pounds, and you divide it by your 1% of your total body weight. Okay, so let's talk about that. So how do we do that? How do we get ourselves on track to lose the weight that we want to lose? So the first thing is we'll talk about is a calorie deficit and surplus. Now I was going to make a bunch of notes. But what happened is I ended up filling out a deficit thing because a lot of people are confused on it, a lot of professionals out there, which is not to no fault of their own. I mean, because this thing is true. It is very true that you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose weight. You're in a calorie surplus if you're going to gain weight. I deny that, but what makes that up is really complex, and we need to kind of crack that open here so people get a better understanding. So you get a better understanding of it's not just eat less, exercise more. What you need to do is get more calories. You need to expend more calories than you're taking in. That not And now it seems like it means exercise more, eat less. That is not what that means, though. That is not what that means. So the law of thermodynamics, everybody wants to quote, yeah, it's a great law. It is a law, right? It's true. What makes that up? There's a lot of moving targets there. So we're going to talk about that. So how does the body burn calories? So what is your total daily energy expenditure? Okay, it's abbreviated as TDEE, total daily energy expenditure. And it's going to be comprised of 4 things here. We have a resting metabolic rate, which is going to be the amount of calories that you burn at rest, all the way, how many calories you burn 24-hour time, just like laying in bed. Through heat energy in your body just preparing without you doing anything. So you have a resting metabolic rate, RMR. Then you have a thermic effect of food, which is how many calories does your body to break down the food and make use of it. Keep that very simple or simplified definition of that. We have exercise activity. So how many calories do you burn while you're exercising? Okay. And then we have the non-exercise activity thermogenesis, which is the NEAT. I've talked about that quite a bit before. Big believer in that. Just live an active style and throughout the day by walking and such. So anyway, so you have the resting metabolic rate, thermic effect of food, exercise activity, and then the NEAT, which is the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. All calories you burn when you take a bath, you're walking, or all of those basically don't have a name for, right? Other than the resting and the eating and the working out, what are the rest of the calories? That's called NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. That creates this thermic effect of food, or the total energy expenditure. Right? So what can slow that down? What can slow down maybe resting metabolic rate? Hormone function, right? So hormone function, like if we have elevated epinephrine, which is adrenaline and norepinephrine, these guys can, that's a fight or flight response. It can actually speed the metabolism, all right, if it's done in the right amount. This is why most of your fat-burning supplements out there, they're basically a ton of caffeine. Caffeine produces cortisol. Now, you've heard me talk about cortisol and how it's not a good thing for a long time. And it's because it has to be balanced out. Okay, so if you have cortisol too high for too long, it starts to tax your adrenals too much. Okay, you're training your adrenals to be stressed. What happens is you can start falling this thing of this relationship between the hypothalamus, the anterior pituitary gland, the thyroid, and the adrenals. Okay, it's called HPA axis. All these guys, they all connect. What happens is if we're stressed out for too long, if we burn ourselves out, we can actually start to cause fat gain and fat storage and slow down our system. And it's because of altered hormones. And so in order to have a smooth sailing calorie deficit, so where we just do the math, we go, look, I need to be eating less than I'm expending about 5 days a week, and I'm going to eat this much and control my calories, whatever. In order for all that to go smooth without you having to dig super deep into the weeds on this, you have to be optimized hormones. Okay, because if your hormones are not working for you, it's going to make it seem like you need to take less calories and work out more, when that's actually potentially going to cause a worse issue, which is you're getting more stress by working out more and you're pulling less in, which is to be more stressful on the body, because the calorie deficit is stressful on the body. Fasting for a prolonged period of time is stressful on the body. Okay, so if you're not recovering correctly and you're challenging your physiology with hard workout, you're a little bit hungry, maybe you're fasting, which I talked about the thing. If you're recovering, stress, eventually fall off. Now you're breaking your system over time. So that is easy to just go, well, I need to exercise more and eat less. So you have to be very careful of that. There's a lot to take into consideration. So the second is very complex. Okay, it's very complex. Now, I'm going to make this simple on you here in a little bit, but I just start to acknowledge that This is what makes the goal depend on the individual, how well they take their body, take the sleep recommendation that I give out or a coach gives out seriously. If people don't think, well, I got to only sleep 5 hours a night. Okay, dude, I got many stories where I had clients who thought that was going to work for them, and then I ran in the gym and put them in calorie deficit. I've learned being a trainer for almost 10 years, over 10 years now. I've watched it in front of my eyes where people don't lose weight. And you have a 250-pound man who's eating 1,500 calories a day because you've walked him down from 2,500 calories thinking something was going to give. Nothing gave because the guy was sleeping 4 or 5 hours a night. Ultimately had to cancel training because of some health issues. This stuff happens. And so when we broaden our horizon like that, when we become open to that, this is when I tell clients, like, look, it depends on where you're at. Okay. But these can be our targets, which is 1% of body per week. All right. But it's very important to hear this because I don't think a lot of people are digging into this and making you aware. Now, it's not to confuse you so you get paralysis analysis and not do any of this stuff. But if for any point or any reason along your fitness journey, you get to this point where you get a sticking point, it's normal, and there's stuff we got to look at. And so you have to continue to fill your head knowledge so you know how to troubleshoot and jumpstart your plan if for some reason you plateau, you're tired all the time, and you're lethargic. So again, this is something that I see that it kind of rubs me the wrong way a little bit because I see this oversimplification of like, you just eat less and exercise more. It's been shown over and over in human studies. When people bring their calories down, they get cold, they burn less energy at rest. Okay, their blood pressure goes down because what happens is your body will start to pull from all these systems. If you quit putting coal inside of the machine stops burning coal. Okay, because it doesn't know to get more. And so just starving yourself does not work long term. It might work short term. But then it's been shown that your body wants to get back to homeostasis, so you will gain fat at lower calories later on. So you start at 2,000 calories. I'm going to exercise more. So start eating 1,500 calories. Shown, if you want a good book, read the Basic Code from Dr. Jason Fung. It's all human studies on diet. It's been shown in starvation studies that when you bring the calories down, what happens, say you get down to 1,500, you get down to 1,200 calories, start out 2,000, down to 1,200 calories, what will happen is your body, after a certain period of time, we're talking about 6 months to a year, you're eating 1,200 calories, you're exercising more, you will lose weight initially, and then what happens, you start to gain that weight back. Your body starts to gain that weight back, 1,200 calories, and working out that much. Okay, and then when you go back to 2,000 calories, what happens? Because I'm off this diet. I need to eat more. This is just too hard. I'm gaining weight. I'm not motivated. You go back to 2,000 calories. What do you think happens? You gain more body fat, and this is why most diets fail, and people come out of diets gaining more weight than they did before. We have to find a system of weight loss that is long-term. So this is why if you go slow and steady, it shouldn't matter to you how it takes to get your goal, as long as you get to your goal and you keep your goal. You keep your goal. You keep the desired outcome, or at least within a few pounds of it, right? Weight about 3 to 5 pounds a year. From really lean, where I'm comfortable doing like shoots for some of my business stuff to have about maybe 5 pounds heavy, which is pretty heavy at this point. To get that heavy, but I mean, usually it's like 2 or 3 pounds, and it visually looks a little bit different. But that's not the issue. The issue is these 10-pound swings that you have all the time. The more times that you gain and lose weight, the more damaging it's going to be to your long-term metabolic health. And so we want to find a system of getting to our goal that keeps us in the arena of that goal. Not, oh, we touched our goal where we lost 30 pounds and we gained 20 pounds back. Is that you who listen to this? It might be. This happens to a lot of people here. And so this is why when people are really hungry to get to the goal, I love it. And we can use these metrics I'm talking about, lose 1% of your total body weight per week. But we got to look for sustainability here too. We can't just throw Hail Marys to try and get to our goal. And then when we get there, well, yeah, this fatigue really is kicking in. I have lack of motivation. I'm so sore, I don't want to work out. My body, I'm gaining weight for some reason. I can't figure out why. I'm trying to eat healthy, but I'm really hungry all the time. You have all these signals where your body starts to fight you back and you'll lose. So you have to be careful of that when we're trying to reach our goal. And so back to this whole thing of this hormones and help create this calorie deficit. And there's also other systems at play here. So like I said, we have the hypothalamus, we have the pituitary gland, we have the thyroid gland, which is this butterfly-shaped gland that sits in our throat. And these guys are all popping all the time, and they're producing all these different hormones. So depending on your eating, how much you work out, how much you're resting, it's always regulating. It's super dynamic system. For us to just go, like, it's a very fixed thing. Let's fix our numbers on this. Like I said, it can work short term. I think the answer for long term metabolic health. Okay, so just know that there's a lot that goes into this. But yes, you do. With that said, here you go. With that said, you have to be in a calorie deficit to lose body fat and lose body weight. Okay, so we can talk in sound bites, which is, yeah, you got to be in a deficit. But I might have one client where I actually have to feed them 500 calories more than they're used to, and they're telling me how full they are, and then they start losing weight. That's weird. And I have them just exercising twice a week. I've had people that do this. They're working 3-4 times a week on their own, doing some type of crazy strength training. They can't sleep though. They're all messed up because they're basically taxing their adrenals too much, right? Stress. They come see me. I have them work out less, resistance training, good methodical resistance training, slow repetition, being in ownership of everything, not being super sore all the time. I feed them more and they start losing weight. Riddle me that. We created a deficit, but it was by feeding them more, because when we feed them more, my hypothesis is they're burning more heat energy. They're burning more calories at rest. The RMR goes up. Maybe I have them eating different foods like meat. That's got a lot of protein in it. That high effective food. I have them eating a lot of vegetables, which is it can be considered negative calories, which means that the roughage of it and the fiber produce a higher burning rate than the food actually brings calorie wise. So you get a little bit of that extra thermic effective food, extra calories, maybe by having them work out less. Maybe their heart rate isn't as high, but we're actually tearing their muscles up, and then that is causing more exercise activity calories to be burned. And maybe having the steps, the more active stuff. So all 4 of those metrics that I talked about that make up your total daily energy expenditure. Okay, the resting metabolic rate, thermic effective food, exercise activity, and the non-exercise activity thermogenesis. I might have manipulated that by having somebody work out less, but more effective, right? By training their muscles, but work out less. And then I fed them more, which raised their resting metabolic rate, which raised their thermic effective food by the food choices we made. Some people out there want to think it's only about calories. A calorie is a calorie is a calorie, which is not true. Calories produce different hormone end states in the body. Okay, like I just said, protein has a high thermic effect of food. Vegetables have a high thermic effect of food, so they're different. 100 calories, 1,000 calories of sugar and 1,000 calories from fat. They have 2 different ways of affecting the body when we go to digest them. So it does matter. Now, all overall, yeah, we want to be mindful of the amount of calories. It's not just a no whole bar and eat as much fat as at the same time, there is these little tweaks we can make, and these little tweaks, when we make them in many different areas, they can add up wins. And so the example I'm giving is that I gave somebody more calories, had them work out less, and now they're burning more calories. They're actually in a calorie deficit. Okay, so that was person A, all right? So that was my 10-minute spiel on that. Then person B, maybe it's straight down the cut. And maybe I get them eating a little bit less. Maybe they're not going to eat as much to restaurants or ordering out or whatever it is. They're not cheating as much, but they're in a bit of a calorie deficit, and they know it. They're hungry, and maybe lose weight just fine. It's a case-by-case basis, but it does come down to a calorie deficit. So this whole page I have here of notes, it's number 1 is a calorie deficit or surplus. That's how you get to your goal. If you want to lose weight, you got to be in a calorie deficit. But what makes that up isn't just so simple. It's just eat less. Okay. And then the second thing is track weekly progress. All right. So you're ready to move on after I've hit you with all that for the last 30 minutes. So the second thing you want to do is track weekly progress. You do that by taking your body weight every day. Go to the bathroom, okay, urinate for the first time. You're basically in a nice dehydrated state, so it's a little more true weight. Jump on the scale, write that number down every week to a 7-day body average. Your number you're trying to see week to week, are you losing 1% of your total body weight, or at least 1 pound? Okay, so your 7-day body weight average is where the magic happens. So every day that you get up, you go jump on the scale. If you only take your body weight 1 time a week, you could be losing weight, but for some reason, yesterday, you could be heavier and you think you're gaining weight when you actually have lost weight on average for the week. So that's why it's dangerous to just take your weight once a week. Do it every single day. Make it part of your routine. If your goal is to lose body weight, gain body weight if you want to gain muscle too. Okay, so track weekly progress, and then you will adjust your program if you haven't lost weight for 2 weeks in a row. So 1 week, but if it goes 2 weeks in a row where you're not losing weight and you feel like you're plateaued, then you can try and add a couple thousand steps a day. You can try and add a workout to your week. You can try and pull some calories. I would say change one thing at a time. Don't change a bunch of things. That way you know what works. Okay. So how long will it take me to hit my goal? Right. This is a question that people often ask. How long will it take if I want to lose body weight? How long will that take? You want to take that body weight, okay, and you want to try and look at how many weeks and make a long-term plan. Okay, you got to get in calorie deficit. A 200-pound person that wants to lose 20 pounds, okay, they can lose 1% of their body weight a week. We just say 1.5 pounds per week, not 2 pounds per week. So at 1.5 pounds per week, lose 20 pounds. For this 200-pound person, it would take them 13 weeks. Okay, 150-pound person to lose 10 pounds at 1.4 pounds per week on average, weight loss would take them 7 weeks. All right, so almost 2 months there. And so that is you could do that in reverse engineering for how much you have. The rule that we want kind of guidelines rather than is number one, we got to be calorie deficit. Okay, so we got to explore what a calorie deficit means for us. Maybe that is eating a lot of vegetables, eating meat, and feeling full and nourishing our body. If you haven't eating that much, recently, and then you get into this thing, eat more, speed the metabolism up. But it gets you in a calorie deficit. Sometimes eating more helps. Sometimes eating less helps. So that depends. Remember, calorie deficit comes down to your total daily energy expenditure, which is comprised of 4 different areas. And the hormone function and all of these different systems are pituitary, like our hypothalamus, like our adrenals. Okay, so the things that regulate energy expenditure are not just food and exercise, it's food recovery, it's food selection. Yes, food selection matters. Okay, you don't just go do the potato diet and think that you're going to nourish your body long term. It might work short term. So sleep, food, and activity level. Okay, that helps regulate energy expenditure. Yes, and really what it does is helps regulate hormones, which help regulate energy expenditure. And then the second thing is just track weekly progress. So getting calorie deficit, track weekly progress. You want to be losing 1% of your body weight per week. If your goal is fat loss, if your goal is muscle gain, you just go away with it, gain 1% of your body weight per week. And then adjust your program if you have plateaued for 2 weeks in a row. That's it for episode 132 of how long will it take me to reach my goal. Guys who are watching live, if you're still with me, take a screenshot of the free workout today if you dare. Just trying to give you a little bit of little bit of something here. Free workout if everybody's kind of struggling, if anybody's struggling with ideas here. So have a good day. We'll be back tomorrow with our Q&A on Friday, and I want you to stay strong and healthy in body, stay relentless and energized in spirit, and stay determined in your pursuits. That spells S.H.R.E.D. Now go shred the day and get better.